All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Big Nano Tech Show. This is episode number 4, and this week we're going to be talking about interview preparation. And it's an important subject matter because you get all your stuff, you learn how to code, you feel confident, and then bam, you're hit with the interview. And it's a whole other ballgame. So we got the experts coming to you this week to talk all about that and give you the best pointers you can come up with to get you through that interview and get you your first job, or maybe you're switching jobs and you need a brusher, freshen up on stuff. So I'm going to start off the show with Sairam Somanabowina from Bangalore. He's a front-end developer, and he's going to guide you through the steps to get you to the interview, the steps you need to take, and good pointers to help you so you're confident in going into that interview. Then we're going to go to AWS, Amazon Web Services, Victor Moreno, who is an absolute wizard at Amazon. He works there. He's a coach and a mentor, and he's going to be giving you tips on interview process, as well as talking about his latest book called The Software Engineer Interview Survival Guide. It's a little bit of a tongue twister, so sorry about that. He's a senior drug and Amazon wizard. So we'll look forward to seeing him and talking with him. Then we're going to have a live coding session with Harsh Mangalam, who we've had on for the previous episodes. He's an expert coder, very talented guy, developer. He's going to be bringing us live coding presentation on Next.js and the latest updates. You guys who are into coding, you're going to love this. And then after that, we'll have Rajesh Singh, who's an expert automation tester and software developer from Infosys.com. And he's also going to be talking about interview prep for his particular line there. So right now, we're going to start off with Sairam, and I believe he's here with us right now. Sairam, welcome back.
Hey, Gabriel. Yeah, thanks. Good to see you again.
Yeah, it's wonderful to see you face again. Too many shadows, but now I can see so clear. So,
Yeah.
so tell us a little bit about what we should do. You know, we get to that point where we're confident. We build a whole bunch of projects, and we're like whizzing along, and then we got to do the interview, and we're like, oh, help me. So, what should we do?
Finally, literally interview preparation is like, preparing for the judgment day. So although you are very good at everything, like your base is covered, but interview gonna be a different thing. The number of rounds in interview, it's a bit different. What you've learned, it could be a bit of theoretical, and obviously you would have also practiced a lot even while in your learning process. But interview would focus mostly on the practicality of your learnings. So in front end, or mostly in technical interviews across the world, there will be majorly 3 technical rounds, 3 or 4. So same same rounds can be stretched to 4, but literally there'll be minimum 3 rounds of interview. So first round would be checking on the basics according to a stream which you are from. For example, front end, you'll be checked for the basics of CSS, JavaScript, and it would be say a casual round which will check basics, and sometimes it could be accompanied by like mini coding challenges, or a short bit of coding challenges. If you're explaining something, the interview may ask, why don't you show it a live code example for the same thing which you are which you are talking about. So it could go there. So first round would be a simple questions around the technologies which you are covering, and which is looked for the current role you are applying at a company. And second round would be again a combination of first round, same questions, if not like less number of questions, but more into a coding round, so it's called as machine coding round, where you have to, let's say, in a given time, you have to maybe implement one or two mini programming challenges in terms of the language or framework you are being interviewed for. For example, if you are interviewed for React or JavaScript, you may be asked to implement short mini challenges, coding challenges in in these two entity in these two language in these two uh, topics, like JavaScript or React. So these mini challenges can be something like implementing a tic-tac-toe, or implementing a to-do list, or implementing a search widget. And as it wouldn't be a bigger thing to implement, but in a given time frame you would be able to implement all these mini challenges comfortably. So it could be one or two of this round will focus on checking your actual coding skills, like whether you have proper experience in hands-on coding. And also the interviewer will observe how efficiently you are writing the code, and how efficiently you are addressing any challenges while implementing these solutions. And also
Great.
what tool sets, what other libraries you are using to. Sometimes they may ask, interviewer may ask you not to use any external libraries. So it's better we always prepared be with doing everything either with vanilla JavaScript, or if you're, let's say, aspiring for a React role in a React ecosystem, you should be able to at least do these mini challenges with just React, not going for any other library. Sometimes even come across people who may ask you to even not to Google any documentation or any method signature if you somehow forget. Some interviews even don't allow that, but I think usually they should allow. It's fine. You're just checking the documentation, not the entire solution out there in the Google, right? So that's about machine coding round. So there can be one or two machine coding round. That's why I said there could be 3 or 4 rounds. So one or two machine coding rounds, and the major round for which is asked for uh, senior folks, like mid senior, who has experience of 4 or 5 years. So they'll be subjected to this round, which is called system design. So system design, there are, if you search for system design, you will find out many system design content on online, whether it's related to backend. So you'll mostly find resources regarding the backend. But front end system design, it's a bit uh, uh, like you find very less content on front end system design. Even most of the people are confused what questions can be expected in front end system design round. So in order to prepare for this round, you have to, so there won't be any fixed set of questions. It's an open it's a open to discussion kind of sort of round. So you'll be actually given a problem to solve, like implementing a app homepage. Like if you see an e-commerce app, it has a very large homepage which caters a lot of content, lot of sections, a lot of multimedia assets. So you'll be asked to implement such a thing, and you have to just come. You don't have to implement. You just have to come up with the architecture and what your expectation. How will you approach implementing that screen in terms of UI, and in terms of what you will set expectation for the your corresponding backend team member or backend team. And the main intention here is to gauge your thinking process, and how you approach technically, and utilize existing, let's say, design patterns in front end, or in fact, like design patterns in a whole sense. How will you imply them while implementing any given feature? So it's basically mostly a talk about a discussion around that given problem or given feature implementation. And interviewer would be looking to gauge your experience through that, identify your practicality and your thinking process in implementing a feature of that scale. So that's about system design. And in order to prepare for system design, you have to actually have a practical experience in doing such things. in building such uh, uh, complex features. Or else you can actually go through any engineering blogs which talks about, let's say, use cases or case studies which were written regarding implementation in other engineering companies, like let's say Airbnb or Uber. You have couple of companies which actively maintain their engineering blogs and share their insights on whatever they're adopting or implementing in their company. So you can follow the case studies published in these engineering blogs, so that you will have an idea to approach any complex feature. Along that, I would also highlight on you know channels to land any interview. So until now we have discussed the possible interview rounds. So these are three rounds. One is a simple questionnaire around the basics which are required of the job, and second one is a machine coding round. It could be one round or two rounds. And in machine coding round you have to, you should be able to implement yeah, a mini challenges in terms of vanilla JavaScript or simple React. And third is system design, where it's an open discussion round where you will ask to implement a complex feature, and your thought process would be checked, and your experience will be checked in this round. And to prepare for this, you have to have actual experience, or you can study closely any case studies published by major engineering companies. And I would like to again also discuss channels where through which you can also land interviews or get companies or get interview opportunities at any companies. So mostly folks will engineers will depend on like uh, job listing websites. Like India, we have Naukri, and there is something called InstaHire, and there are a couple of there. I think there are at least a dozen of job listing sites. And recently I've actually come across one more very um, uh, viable option, is that LinkedIn. So if you could leverage the power of LinkedIn, and if you could showcase your skills, if you can flaunt your skills on LinkedIn, you will definitely attract a ton of opportunities. And it's also like it's like your personal branding. I think, yeah, that's a correct word. Personal brand. If you brand yourself correctly on LinkedIn, you will definitely get very quality opportunities and tons of opportunities via LinkedIn compared to all this job listing sites. Yeah.
Right. Wonderful, wonderful. Great pointer. Now, so I know, somebody might start to do the interview prep, and then they'll go to, Leak Code and start practicing. And then they might
Hmm.
go to YouTube, and every different ways of thinking about it are different people's philosophy. Some say, learn, there's only a certain amount of different kind of questions. And some people say, oh, just memorize these and then you'll be okay. But it seems to me that that might not be quite a good idea, because you're just memorizing. You want to actually know how it all works, and maybe it's better to study it from, I don't know, pattern. Like some people say, study the patterns. Or what's your take on that?
So studying patterns, it's into all the algorithm or DSA round. Actually, I forgot to mention the DSA round. It could be part of machine coding, or it could be as initial just a simple screening round. So you can expect that in most of the companies, and some companies they also avoid DSA. And around like considering the preparation of questions, basically we have to understand the gist of a concept or a topic. Otherwise, let's say if you study certain topics, if you just study like your academics, like if you just mug up and be ready with the answer for every question. Let's say if someone asks difference between two things, right? If you don't understand the just the core of the concept, you can't differentiate two things. You can individually define a topic individually. You can say everything about a topic, but if someone asks you to define what's the difference between these two topics, then you will be stuck you wouldn't be able to come up with the answer. So I
Right.
usually do that to kind of actually uh, identify whether the candidate is really good at the topics which we are looking at, or else he just prepared with some questions. Literally, you can prepare with some questions, you can get through, but it's again depends upon the interviewer. If you want to really check you, he can come up with different ways of questions to actually get your understanding around the topics.
Right, right. Yeah, just practice and there is there any like books that you on the topic of this interview preparation that you might have read or that you can think of off the top of your head?
uh, so like let's say
Maybe even
in
one.
front. Yeah, in front end for for JavaScript, the books like I think famous books are like You Don't Know JS by Kyle Simpson, and Design Patterns. I think there is some book, but I think you
Susanna
can
Betts, he was on
generally.
last week. He was real. That's I recommend his book. I started reading it. It's good. It's
Yeah, design patterns in general you can study because you can imply them anywhere where you have object oriented approach in development. So JavaScript we also have that, and React also sort of you have it. So design patterns is a general thing. I mean, it's a basic things you have to cover, which where you can actually imply and take the leverage out of it, because all these design patterns are well thought and well tested out there. So these
right,
things we can refer it from books, but later of other things like there are abundance of articles out there, abundance of YouTube videos explaining all this let's say mini challenges which you can come across in the machine coding round. Otherwise, general, like when you're good at what you're doing, you can with just this little preparation would be enough. Yeah.
right. And so when you go for the interview, I mean, obviously you're not going to get the first interview. I mean, you might maybe I guess if you're just really prepared, but it seems to me that and also if you're new at the interview, you may be a little nervous, so you may not be able to. So how many interviews do you think that it would take? Just to get comfortable, 3, 4. I mean, a lot of people say they go through like 50 interviews before they get a job, or even 10 or whatever. So what's your thought on that?
I think in the current scenario, even like it's very hard to even land up with interviews. I'm not sure about the across the world, but I'm saying in India, like it's very hard to grab an interview as of now. But when you get an interview, it would be again pressure is around you to kind of crack it, because you may never know whenever you get when you will be getting another chance. But yeah, if you have for confidence, you need to definitely look at mock interviews instead of actual interviews. Try some mock interviews, one or two or three, how much ever possible financially for you, and get the confidence over there, and don't spare the actual interviews. Try to uh, use actual interviews to actually crack a job, and don't make actual interviews as a playground for some future interview.
Right,
It's
right.
just wasting
Actually,
your
trying to
time and the others your
just
time. Yeah.
practice. Yeah, it makes sense. So we're just about out of time, Sairam, but thank you so much for coming on. We got our next guest. We just popped in here. So
Okay.
we hope to see you again next time or in the future. And also, you're leaving Mudrex right now?
Yes, I've left Mudrex. Yeah.
Okay, and so you're available for work. Is that not right?
Yes, totally. Yeah.
Oh, so how can people let people know how they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, they could connect me on LinkedIn. Yeah, that's a
Okay.
channel open. Yeah,
Okay,
that's an open
LinkedIn, or
channel.
you guys can call me at 415-669-6500 and I'll give it a number.
Yeah, call Gabriel too.
Okay. All right, thanks a
Okay.
lot.
Thank you.
We'll talk
Thank
to
you,
you soon.
Gabriel. Thank you for having your live. Yeah. See you soon again. Yeah.
All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back after this short little break here. I'm Gabriel Foley with Gabriel Foley Associates. If anyone needs any kind of development service, back end, front end, web development, CRM integration, marketing, payment gateway, cloud service, no job too small, too large, give us a call 415 669 6500. 415 669 6500. Call us right away. That's my personal number, and I'll take care of you, and I'll get you the best developers out there that'll get you the job in the time you want it. So give us a call, 415 669 6500. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. I don't know, saying they can't hear me. Can you hear me now? Okay. Well, hopefully you guys can hear me. All right, so we have Victor Moreno here. I'm going to let him in. Can you hear me?
Yeah. How's it going, Gabriel?
Oh, great. Okay, sorry, I was going to give you an intro, but I wasn't sure if the sound was working. So we have AWS wizard Victor Moreno here with us to talk about interview preparation. We're so happy to have you back on the show. You were such a delight last time. I loved it. Absolutely. I wanted to fill the whole show up with you. And I learned, you told me you have a book out, and I bought it just yesterday. So I haven't quite finished it, but I started it, and I was really excited to hear more about it. But maybe let's first talk about interview preparation, then we'll get into your book. So give us a little bit like an intro on how one, you go through the process of learning the code, you get a bunch of projects, you feel confident, and then you run into a brick wall here with this interview that you got to prepare for. So, but luckily we have guys like you to give us great advice.
Cool. Yeah, man. So assuming that you're able to get an interview, right, which is in its own right, like a whole thing, right? Like it's a prowess to be able to even get an interview these days is quite an accomplishment. So assuming that you're able to get an interview, that means that you can code because you either have experience or you have enough side projects that you were able to showcase something to get employer interest. And then what's next? Mainly two things. Number one, problem solving. So data structures and algorithms. So like coding these types of kind of like more difficult than the actual job type of problems. And the other thing is system design. So system design is a field that's sort of constantly evolving because it's a newer type of interview. Interviews used to be a lot more about just lead codes, as they say, data structures and algorithm type of problems. But then employers started realizing, I guess, that like you need more than just that in order to be able to build systems, and they started including the system design interview. And I've seen this evolve over the years. I think it started out pretty well. They would ask reasonable questions, build me, full text search thing, build me a library catalog. And then they would get into details about, how do you actually store the data? What columns do you have in your database? Like actually detailed discussion. They would pick a very small project and go into a very detailed discussion on how you would build that. And nowadays it's more, it's almost, I don't like it. So I'm going to sound pretty negative. It's like a hand waving contest about dropping, buzzwords and technologies. And you can tell you're in one of those when they ask you design Spotify or design Instagram, something like that. Just astronomical scope, there's thousands of engineers working on this thing. You couldn't possibly even scratch 1% of 1% of the surface in 1 hour. So like when they ask you a question like that, that's what they want. They want that type of hand waving answer. They want to hear that you know about microservices. They want to hear you name drop stream processing technology, stuff like that. And so depending on the type of interview you get, the type of skills that are measured are different, unfortunately. And you don't really know ahead of time what type of which of those you're going to get, which of those system design interviews you're going to get. So you have to be ready for both. In order to be ready for the real skills one, what do? You build real systems. So like if you have a lot of experience building real systems, that's gonna do you a lot of good. And you need to be able to get into the details. So like that's where a little bit of studying comes in. So you have to study, for example, database access patterns is one of the things that I see most often neglected. Thinking about what are the access patterns of my application and what does this mean for the schema? So like how am I going to structure the tables? How am I going to structure the indexes so that those access patterns can be queried quickly and none of them require a full table scan? So that is, one of the things that's super, super, super important. It's like, 101 of building web systems, and a lot of people get wrong, surprisingly, in interviews. So that's where I would start. Then if, then you can go into more advanced topics like load balancing, caching, using caching technologies like Redis, Memcache, and so on. When is caching good? When is caching not helpful? So like if your application has tons of different, if the application access patterns of your application are varied enough, caching might not help. It might actually hurt. Like you might have such frequent cache misses that it doesn't actually help performance, and you're just wasting money in infrastructure there. So those are like the hard skills that go into building, like the first kind of system design interview where you're like focusing on building something and getting into the details of the thing that you got. In the other kind, you just gotta watch YouTube videos, man, and see how people approach it and talk about it, because the 99 that's a good thing about it, I guess. Like 99% of the material out there is this kind of material. Design Spotify, design Instagram, design Facebook live streaming. Some super high level problem that took a dozen engineer or from a dozen to thousands of engineers 2 to 20 years to build, and they're telling you to design in 1 hour. You just gotta kind of like watch a lot of videos and build an intuition for how to answer those questions. In both kinds, and always in any kind of system design interview, one of the most important skills is directing the conversation. So you got to be able to direct the conversation to your points of strength. If you can do that, and you can keep highlighting your own points of strength, like you directing the conversation to where you're strong, to where you can sound confident, and when you can actually give smart explanation of things, you're gonna do much better than being passive. So if it becomes a question and answer, the odds are stacked against you, because the questions that the interviewer are going to ask are typically super specific, and chances are you don't know, like as much about designing Instagram as this guy who's asked this question 75 times. So directing the conversation is super important, and building systems also super, super important.
What does that look like? I mean, would it be like some whiteboarding, or you're just talking the whole time? Are you going to be able to like write something
So it depends. A lot of times they do. Nowadays in the post-COVID remote first world, whiteboarding is rare, right? Because on-sites are rare. So like even an on-site interview nowadays is remote, and they will use some kind of whiteboarding tool like Draw.io that you can screen share, or Excali Draw, and then you whiteboard over something on the internet, and that's the most common thing. Sometimes some companies tell you just talk me through it, but it's not that common. It's most common to whiteboard something on some app on the web.
Right. Because it's hard to like, sometimes you're talking and you're trying to describe something, and then it's so complicated, it's better to have it like written out. You're like, okay, yeah. Good for yourself.
And then that allows you to come up with a plan of action as well, right? So like you can say, hey, look, first I'm going to design my API contracts. Then I'm going to go into a database schema. And then I'm going to go into whatever, the API endpoint, like whatever you say. So I typically like to start with the API contracts. What are the API endpoints? Because that helps me know what the access patterns are. So what are the API endpoints that I'm going to need? What inputs do they take? What outputs are they going to give? And then knowing that, I know the access patterns of the application. So now I can go and design the database schema. So like the tables and the indexes to access that data efficiently.
Right.
And then typically in the last day, they almost always want you to talk about scaling. So like, what would you need to do in order for this to scale to, I don't know, like 10,000 transactions per second or something like that? And typically
Right.
that's going to entail some sort of breaking it apart, having one service for reads and one service for the data plane to do the, like if it's a very read heavy system, you want to replicate the data into its own system where you have a system just for reads. And if it's a write heavy database, you want some other kind of optimization, like probably a queue coming in to control the throughput of the writes as they come in.
Right. Now, so which brings us to your book, and this is the perfect, I think, place to talk about it too, because this is, you have a whole set of what to do and how to approach it, right? Like in the beginning, it's like, I remember the first page, you said, hey, if you feel nervous about this, or you haven't done any of these things, or if you rolled your eyes, then this book is for you.
Yeah, so my book is more about the data structures part, but I think a lot of the principles in the beginning of my book apply to both interviews, which is create a habit around practice, right? So you're gonna need to, like, especially if you want to have good shot of passing the hand wavy style of system design interview, you're gonna have to watch 100 videos. If you're going to have a good shot of passing the data structures and algorithm side of the interview, you're gonna have to solve probably 100, 200 lead codes. So that's not done in a day, right? So you need to create, like, the smartest way to do it, in my opinion, is to create a habit. 15 minutes a day. You don't even have to necessarily finish a video. Don't even have to necessarily finish a problem on a given day, but just build that habit and keep coming back to it. And that's what's going to help you, in the long run.
Right. Beautiful. Yeah, and so where can people get your book? Is there just a link in and have or is it their website?
It's linked from my LinkedIn page. It's also at millionairecodersclub.com, and it's also at that landing page that I sent you.
Okay, and the Software Engineers Interview Survival Guide, right?
That's right.
Right, and so yeah, thanks so much for even, I guess you co-wrote it, or?
Yeah, I co-wrote it with a friend called Zach.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, and I'm so glad you guys collaborated on that, because wow, this is what you need if you want to attack you need a plan of action, because there's so many different things out there, and you can get lost and sidetracked. And so somebody's like, hey, all these, just memorize all these ones. Here's 50. Just memorize them, and you'll just pass the interview. I don't think that's a good idea, but that's one strategy. Right?
Yeah, and I think that also a lot of times, like, people, when they don't have like a high level plan, what tends to happen a lot is they tend to go into the weeds of one thing. So like they'll watch, like, if it's system design, they'll watch 50 design or like design video streaming videos, and they'll become like a little mini expert in hand waving around video streaming, and that has diminishing returns fast. Same thing goes with data structures and algorithms. They might get into super, like, okay, I'm implementing a Bloom filter. It's like, dude, they're never gonna ask you that. Like, you have to. There's a bunch of things. Like, there's like 20 or so problems from which all the majority of all the other problems derive. And if you master those 20, you have a good shot of passing. But a lot of people don't even make it to those 20. They do like 5, and then they start getting into the weeds and doing like A-star algorithm and this and that, and dude, like, that hits diminishing returns really quickly.
Right, and projects, because we can talk about it and watch the videos and stuff, but then once you start a project, then it's like, oh, you run into stuff that the guy who is like putting on the making the tutorial, he missed that part, and you get stuck, skipped over it somehow. It happens a lot. Like, I do a project, and I'm like, well, what happened there? Okay, you got to figure it out yourself, which actually is actually helpful, right? Because you got to go figure it out yourself.
No, 100%, super helpful. That's how you really learn. And with the system design thing, that happens even more, man. Like, if you build one of those systems that they're supposed to be designing in those YouTube videos, you're like, oh my God, dude, like, this guy's making this thing sound like, it's gonna take a week of work. And no, man, like, that takes a lot. Like, today I made a post on LinkedIn talking about how people just think, oh, you have a microservices architecture, I'm gonna propagate data from this system to this system. It's just gonna be a queue, like a Kafka cluster or an SQS queue, and a worker that consumes it, and that's it. Dude, that's like 1% of the story. Like, the events are gonna have race conditions. Updates are gonna get out of order. A delete might get there before the create even gets there. If somebody creates and deletes something really quickly, like all these things that happen, all of these edge cases, they're not going to get handled unless you handle them, unless you know how to handle them. That's the type of detail that second kind of system design interview never gets into. So you don't have to worry about to pass the interview, but like you should know that just because you're good at system design interviews of that type, that doesn't mean that you can actually build Spotify or build Instagram.
Right, exactly. Well, Victor, thank you so much for taking time out this week. I know you're with your family, so I want you to get back to them and everything. So thank you so much for coming on the show. I really, really appreciate it, and I'm sure everybody's going to get a lot out of this interview. I already have, and I'm so happy to see you again. So
thank you so much, man. Happy to be here again too, man.
Yes, thank you so much. We're going to take a short break, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Welcome to Gabriel Foley Associates, where we bridge the gap between potential and opportunity. We specialize in technology development, connecting talented individuals with industry-leading firms. Our finest experts bring you software development, web applications, security, and web architecture, and much more. No job is too small or too large. We are the catalyst which will fuel your company's success. With Gabriel Foley Associates, you will dive into the future. Your success is our mission. Call now 415-669-6500. 415-669-6500. That's 415-669-6500. Call now. You can also visit us on the web at gabrielfoley.com. Remember, your success is our mission. Welcome to Gabriel.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. And next up we have Master Coder Harsh Mangalam from he's going to give a live presentation. He's from Logit, and he's going to give it on Next.js. And I believe he is here with us today. There he is. Harsh.
Yeah, hi.
All right. So it's so cool to see your face again. You always make everything more bright.
Yes.
So you have a live presentation on the latest from Next.js. Am I not right?
Yeah.
All right. So okay, yeah, let's get into it.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, today I will talk about the Next.js feature, that is streaming server response. So there is lots of feature that comes in Next.js last couple of years. Like they release app router. They basically utilize the server actions from React 18, and that we are talking about today, that is streaming server response. So I will show you that how we will solve a problem that we are facing. Suppose, for example, you have a site, and let's say you have an e-commerce site, and you are fetching data like featured product, and you are fetching another lots of product data. So suppose what will happen if your feature product will take time to load. So your complete screen, like they will load on the server, and it will only visible when all the data will available on the server as an HTML, and that will be sent to your client. Okay. So server side rendering are not solving your all of the problems that will stuck your screen if all data will not available. Okay. So here I will show you how streaming server response will solve these type of problems. Okay, so let me share my screen here. Okay, are you able to see my screen now?
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, here is a simple web app that I spin up using Next.js. Okay, and these are just static content. And here, when I will go to this repos link, you will see I am fetching some repos from my username, and I am also fetching some of the top rated repos from the GitHub. Okay, now let me show you first the problem. Okay, so here is my I have spin up this one using Next.js, and I will go to page.ts here. And what I will do, i will I will just add some delay in the feeds part. Okay, so let me show you. Let me go to the repo feeds, and just I will add one changes here. Okay, so here I will add some delay. Like I will return a new promise. So here I am going to add a delay of 3 seconds. Okay, so yeah, like that. Okay, so yeah, here you will see the problem. So if I will open this one now, let's say, so you will see here, if I will go to repos, so now my screen got stuck, and after 3 seconds, when my complete data will not available, my page will not visible on the client. Okay, so what we want here, we want that the rest of the data, like the sidebar, the navbar, and the best repo, which is not taking too much time, so they must be rendered on the client. And those parts which are taking time, we will stream from the server once they will available. So let me show you how we can use suspense from React 18, and we will stream those data from the server. Okay, so I will go to page.tsx here, and I know that this part will take time to render on the server. So I will wrap this one inside the suspense boundary. Okay, so I will import suspense from React, and I will put here. And as a fallback, you can put also a skeleton here, but for simplicity, I will just put like loading repo feed. Okay, and I will also wrap this one inside the suspense boundary. Okay, so this one is suspense boundary here, and this one is the fallback part. So this one is a P, let's say, loading best repos. Okay, now let's come here. And what will happen now? So if I will go here, and if I will go to this repos, so you will see now all the part that are basically on the priority that don't require any blocking, they will render on the client. And those parts which are taking time, so it will come when it will available, and it will stream once it will available from the server. So this type of problem we can solve using this suspense or streaming server response. Okay, so this was just a simple demo how you can utilize the server response, the server streaming in Next.js and React 18.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, that was you have to be talented to do this live coding, Harsh. So I guess you've done it so much that you could just rattle it off and be organized and right to the point there. So I definitely appreciate your skill. So thank you so much for coming on the show and giving us another great presentation. And we hope to have you back sometime soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, guys, we'll be right back with an important message.
In the galaxy of tech recruitment, one name shines brighter: Gabriel Foley Associates. This staffing firm is a spotlight illuminating paths for your company and developers alike. On our ship, you'll traverse the tech universe at blistering speed, experience the clash of human ingenuity and robotic proficiency, triumph over obstacles not with arms but through code. At the end, you stand triumphant in innovation's dawn. Gabriel Foley Associates is where your tech dreams take flight. So call us now at 415-669-6500.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back and we're ready to go. Today we are going to be hosting Brajesh Singh from Nainital, which is in the Himalayas here. Here he is. And we're going to be talking more about interview preparation and all that good stuff for everybody. Brajesh is an automation All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back and we're ready to go. Today we are going to be hosting Brajesh Singh from Nainital, which is in the Himalayas here. Here he is. And we're going to be talking more about interview preparation and all that good stuff for everybody. Brajesh is an automation tester as well as a really great developer, software developer. Brajesh, welcome back to the show. You shared us some great information last time on AI, and we love that. So now we want to hear what you have to say about interview preparation for your job. Can you tell us a little bit about your job and what it entails, and just to get it started?
Sure. First of all, thank you, Gabriel, for inviting me to the show again. It was a pleasure again coming back to this show. So let me talk about my job. So currently, I'm working as a software tester and developer with Infosys Limited. So Infosys is one of the biggest companies in India that is providing the IT services. So talking about my job, okay, it's basically a role of a developer where, like, the programmers or the coders, okay, they work on a special task like the software or anything. So what we do is we do the testing of those softwares, and, like, we fix the bugs and any kind of any kind of errors that can, like, in the future it will affect the software or, like, audience. So all those things we do, and yeah, it takes a lot of time, and, like, it takes a lot of brain also. See?
Wonderful. And can you tell me, because I'm a little curious, like there's this word QA, quality assurance. Is that
Yeah.
different from what you're doing in testing, or is it in the same area?
See, QA is also a similar kind of thing. Okay, QA, actually the testers are called as a QA only. So what is QA is? QA is quality analyst. Quality analyst, as in, like, if you are building any software, okay, suppose the developer has built a software. So we cannot directly, like, implement that software into the market, because that software will be having so many kinds of bugs and errors at the same time. So for those things, the companies are having a special department that is called as a quality engineer. Okay, in this quality engineers department, okay, so there is an in-house testing. Okay, like, all the testers will be sitting there, okay, which are having, like, various kinds of skills, okay, required for testing. So this software comes into this house, and, like, the people test on this software and fix the bugs at the same time. And once these bugs has been fixed, and once we get a green signal, yeah, the software is working properly, and it will not affect any audience or the market after its release. So then only that product is sent into the market. So yeah, quality, QA and testers both are the job is same.
About the same. Okay. So it's almost
Yeah.
another name. I thought maybe it would be a little bit more different stages or something. I don't know.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. So now for your job, what would someone how would they get into it? What are the things that they might background they might have, and what would the steps be to become a proficient in this to get a job in it? What would the steps be to start off, and then we could talk about maybe interview preparation.
Yeah, sure. See, the very first thing is it's a technical job. Okay, it's not a not technical job. So the very first thing, if someone is coming into this field, okay, he or she would be needing a programming skills. Okay, whether it is Java or whether it is Python, any programming language. Okay, at least one programming language is mandatory, because you cannot come into this field, okay, if you're not having any programming language, or you're not having an experience in coding. So it will be very hard to sustain in this field. So it's basically a technical role, when someone is coming over here, okay, they are developing their skills. Like suppose when I was new, okay, so I already know the Java. Okay, so when I went into the company, and over there, I learned many more new skills, okay, related to testing, related to web development, related to developing roles also. I learned so many new skills, okay, where previously I was having only one technology or two technologies, but today, as of now, I will be having almost like 15 to 16 technologies, okay, various tools will be there, okay. So all these things, when you get recruited into the company, all these things get learning by learning, slowly when time gets passed, okay, you will able to learn those things, because this is a IT sector, as in you need to upgrade your skills every year, okay, because every day new technologies are coming, okay, every day new tools are coming, new tools are upgrading. So you need to upgrade yourself also on the similar basis. If you're not upgrading, obviously, there will be lacks of testers or lacks of developers, okay, so you will be into a crowd. Okay, if you're not developing the skills, you will be into the crowd, and no one will notice you. So if you want someone to get noticed, yeah, if he is a good developer, so you need to upgrade those skills, and you need to be assured, whatever you should be 110% sure. Yeah, yeah, I can do this work, okay, whatever the project is given, I can do this, okay. I'm having that ability, I'm having that those skills, obviously. And apart from that, if any new freshers is coming, yeah, freshers is also a very good thing, okay. So they are also nowadays, freshers are also having some kind of 3 to 4 skills. That is also good, but slowly they also get developed when the time gets passed.
Right. And so would you recommend shooting, because when the part of interview preparation would be to think about, do I want to join a large company like yours, or maybe a smaller company, or are there any pros and cons to consider?
Yeah, sure. So when the people joins to the company, they need a job first. Okay, if they are searching the job, obviously the job comes first. Okay, whether it is a big company or small company, any recruiter who is providing the job, it's okay. But when when you are seeking the hike, okay, everyone needs a hike every year, right? So then comes a logic over here. So if you're working in a smaller company, that is not listed in stock exchange, or those are doing business in 1,000 crores or something, not into the billions, okay, it will be doing a business in 1,000 crores or 15,000 crores, like this, okay. Those companies, so those are third party companies or small companies. And apart from that, there are big companies also, the Microsoft is there, Google is there, Infosys also, billion-dollar company, Accenture is there, okay. These are some kind of big companies. So if I'm going into these big companies, okay, the service based company especially I'm talking, so you won't be getting that much package, okay, according to your skills, and the workload will be obviously it will be higher, and sometimes it takes a time to get the projects also into these big companies. Okay, this is one of the factor over here, because these big companies, they will be having a lot of people in them. Okay, currently where I'm employed, okay, they are having almost like 2 to 3 lakhs people. Okay, with Infosys. So in this, if you're having a good skill, okay, it will be very hard, to get the project in these companies. By chance you will be getting the project, and by chance, you will be on the bench. Now, coming to the smaller companies, okay, smaller companies is comparatively better than the bigger companies. Why? Because if I go to the smaller company, the very first thing is I will be learning over there. Okay, the very first thing is I will be learning over there, and the second thing is my package will be much higher as compared to the bigger companies, because they are having a lot of many people. What they are doing is they are providing a smaller package to every people. But in the smaller companies, there will be only 500 to 600 people, not more than that. Okay, obviously it will be 1,000, 2,000, but not in lakhs. Okay, these are the small companies. So in this, what is there is, they'll be having only sufficient people, so they provide a good package to those people. In smaller company it will be like 8 to 10 lakhs. Okay, but if you go to the same bigger company, over there your package will be around 4 to 5 lakhs. So there's a major difference in this one. And there is another thing: in the smaller companies you can learn a much better way. Okay, and you can get a project in a much easier way as compared to the bigger companies. So these are some, pros and cons with the, say, big companies and the smaller companies.
So would you say that generally, is there a pay difference for the big companies, or?
Yeah, exactly. I'm working with the big companies. So obviously my package is what I need. Okay, it is not up to that mark. Okay, but it's still sufficient. Okay, it's comparatively good. But if I going into the same role into the smaller company, okay, so over there I'll be getting a much higher package. Okay, as compared to the what I'm getting right now. So this
Hmm.
is one of the difference. Okay, so that's why people, most of the people, what they think is, they don't want to go to these services based companies. Okay, because they provide lower packages. So what they try is they try to move to the product companies. If they are not able to get into those product companies, what they will do is, go to the smaller companies where the number of employees are very less, 500 to 800 people, not more than
Hmm.
that.
And so the workload maybe for you get more attention and you'll learn more with those smaller companies, at least in your
Yeah,
country.
exactly. So if you are going to the smaller companies, okay, so obviously you can learn in a much better way. Okay, and you can get projects in a much better way. Okay,
Right.
and if you
More.
talk about the bigger, yeah, if you talk about the bigger companies, so when I was recruited, okay, with me around 5,000 peoples were there. Okay, into the testing role only. So now the thing is, only few testers are there. Okay, those who are involved into the project, but most of the testers are into the bench. Okay, if you are talking about the smaller companies, they will train only those sufficient people, 10 to 15 people, and they will utilize them also. Okay, and they will give them the projects also. So this is one of the basic difference into the, big companies and the smaller companies. I'm not
Right.
talking
Right.
about only my company. I'm talking about every IT services, the big giants. Infosys is there, Wipro is there, Accenture is also there. Okay, so all these companies do the same thing, and the lower, the smaller companies, it's much easier to get the things over there.
Right. Now, in terms of like interviews and the preparation to go in, a lot of times, it's a little different than your skills that you might learn. And then you like usually the interview is some another skill that you have to learn. You go in and then you do your projects and coding, and then you got to learn what are they going to ask me now. So what is your advice? What are the steps that someone can take to prepare themselves?
Yeah, sure. So, see, if someone is going for the interview for the first time, okay, so the interviewer will ask the basic question, because first I will talk about the freshers. Okay, so interviewer will ask a very basic question, that is the programming skills. Okay, suppose if you know the Java or Python, they will ask only the data types. Okay, data structures they will be asking. And apart from that, like small like how the classes are like implemented and how to call the method, all these small questions they will be asking, where like you need to think from your brain, okay, what will happen. Okay, they can give you a small scenario also, like can you write a code for like swapping two numbers, small. They will give only a small coding, okay, not like big coding. It will be just like 10 to 15 lines, that's it. Okay, and they will just ask the logic. And apart from that, like they can ask you like some technical terms also, like if you are getting recruited into the like web development or anything, they will just ask you a technical term, like what is HTML, okay, what is CSS, what is JavaScript, what JavaScript is doing, okay, why JavaScript is needed in the web development. So they'll just ask some basic questions. But when you talk about the experienced persons, okay, so when experienced persons are switching to the other companies, so over there the interview is bit different from the fresher, because if someone is taking the experienced person into their company, okay, obviously the interviewer will like go through each and every concepts with the like candidate. Like first, the very first question is like for the experienced one, explain your project. Okay, whatever the projects you have done in the past 1 or 2 years, can you please explain me your structure of your project? Okay, what are all the things you have implemented, what are all the new innovations that you have done into your project? So when the candidate give these answers, okay, the interviewer will get the idea. Yeah, he has done these kinds of project and he has implemented these kinds of things. And then the interviewer will ask you some very higher order thinking skills questions, like in the programming, they can ask you to write a program also. Okay, not a small program, they can ask you to write a advanced program also. Okay, so over there, like you should be 110% sure, like you should know these things, because uh, company seeks more attention for the like experienced persons as compared to the freshers. So in our country, it's like the freshers interview is very simple. Okay, it's not that much hard. Okay, but when you are going for the experienced one, okay, it depends on the interviewer. Okay, if the interviewer is very good, he will like he will test you from top to down. Okay, each and everything he will ask you, and then only he will give the feedback. Okay, whether the candidate is good or bad. Okay, like average or good. So accordingly he will give the like feedback. So that's
Right.
it. uh,
Now, so it's because it seems like with testing, it's a mix of everything you got to know, right? It's not just like say you're going to go in for front end, or do they do a little bit of front end kind of stuff to check you and see if you know a little back end stuff, or or a little here, a little there, or is it how does that in terms of percentages?
uh, yeah. See, testing is like most of the people think that like testing doesn't require any coding or anything. Okay, they will just use the tool and like the software get tested. It's not like that. Okay, we are using the tools. Okay, but in that tool also, like you need to write the codes and everything. So talking about like my experience. Okay, so I test the web applications. Okay, web application as in like suppose YouTube is there. Okay, so if I want to test the YouTube, like so I'll be writing a code for YouTube to automate that YouTube. Like if I want to search anything into the YouTube, I will automate. I will write each and every code for automation. Okay, once I write this code, I will run my program and it will automate the things, like whatever I have written. So then it will test the things and it will give me a results also, like yeah, these test cases has been failed, these test cases has been passed. So accordingly I can get the idea like where is the error, okay, and what part the error is coming. So accordingly like we need to develop our test cases. So that's how we do it.
So what I'm hearing is that there's some sometimes you have to use some customized software or stuff that you make specifically for whatever it is that you're testing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's not like we are using only one tool. Okay, we are using the like I'll just tell the tools. Okay, for testing, like you are using a basic language, that is a Selenium. Okay, Selenium tool you are using, and you are writing your code into the Java. Okay, now it's not only about Selenium. If you're writing your just code into the Selenium tool, okay, so it will be a very basic one. But like when the code gets bigger and bigger, the complexity gets increased. Okay, so to decrease this complexity and to increase the memory space, okay, so we use different kinds of tools also, frameworks we use. Okay, test engine framework is there. Okay, then we use the build automation tool, that is a Maven, okay, which build our projects. And apart from that, there's one more, Jenkins. We use Jenkins, suppose you are sleeping into the night and you want that whatever the code or whatever the test cases you have written, it will run in the night. When you are sleeping, it will run in the background in the night. Okay. And when you wake up into the morning and when you log in into your system, okay, you will get a detailed test report, what are all the test cases has been what are all the test cases has been failed. So this is one of the tool we are also using, Jenkins. Okay. I schedule my test cases and everything into the night, and morning I do the test analysis and everything, and I get the idea how the software is working, if there is any defect or not. So these are the some tools that I told, okay, we are using. And apart from that also, we are using so many tools, okay, to simplify our basic needs.
So would it be advisable for someone who's looking for a job to get skills in Maven and Jenkins? You said Jenkins, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, if anyone who wants to be a QA tester, okay, so the very first thing is he should know the programming, either in Java or either in Python. Okay, any two programming language he or she should need. Okay, then second thing is the tool Selenium. Okay, Selenium is very important. Then some frameworks. Okay, JUnit framework or TestNG framework, any kind of framework. Okay, so then third thing. Okay, then fourth thing is how you are going to automate your project. Okay, you are using any tool, that is a Maven. Okay, build automation tool it is called. So Maven, if you are having very good knowledge, okay, it will be a you can say a good pointer for you in your resume also. Then the fifth comes here, if you are using any new technologies like Jenkins or anything. So Jenkins is also there. Okay, these are some of the new technologies. If you are writing into a resume, okay, it will give a feedback to the interviewer. Yeah, he is up to mark for the newer technologies, and we can interview him. Okay, then only they will interview, because the companies are getting more than lakh applications. Okay, and they are not interviewing all the lakh people. Okay, they are just interviewing only 100 to 200 people. And
Right.
how they are and how they are interviewing on the resume gets selected on the base of ATS. Okay, so automatic tracking system. So once the resume gets selected, okay, so they will interview only 100 to 200 people, and those 100 to 200 people will be having those skills that the company needs. And other than that, whatever the applications has been received, they will be getting rejected. So it's very important to build your resume in such a way that it should include the newer technologies also. But if you're not including the newer technologies, okay, and if you're not updating yourself to the new technologies, okay, obviously it will be very hard to get into the IT sector.
Right. Very good point. Those are very good pointers.
Yeah.
Put this stuff in your tool belt. Learn the other
Exactly.
automation tools, not just the programming, or it's not that simple. You gotta go
Exactly.
on to try to get a little edge on everybody. Very, very important stuff, Brajesh. So we're just rounding up to 20 minutes. So I got a bunch of other people ready to come on, and I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. And we hope
Thank
to
you.
talk to you next time about some other great
Sure.
stuff, because you got so much stuff to offer. And thank you so
Thank you.
much for coming on the show, Brajesh.
Yeah, thank you, Gabriel, for inviting me to the show again. Thank you.
Okay, talk to you next time.
Welcome to Gabriel Foley Associates, where we bridge the gap between potential and opportunity. We specialize in technology development, connecting talented individuals with industry-leading firms. Our finest experts bring you software development, web applications, security, and web architecture, and much more. No job is too small or too large. We are the catalyst which will fuel your company's success. With Gabriel Foley Associates, you will dive into the future. Your success is our mission. Call now 415-669-6500. 415-669-6500. That's 415-669-6500. Call now. You can also visit us on the web at gabrielfoley.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are wrapping up the show, the Big Nano Tech Show, which is the biggest little show in cyberspace. So we are so happy to wrap up. We had such a good time today. And next week, I guarantee you guys are going to absolutely love what we got planned next week. I have some really exciting guests that we're going to be interviewing. And so please stay tuned. It'll be next Wednesday between 3 and 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So this is Gabriel Foley from the Big Nano Tech Show signing right out. Thank you so much for joining us once again. And we hope you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday and happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and all of that to come. Thank you so much.